Uh, Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. As the committee proceeded with this bill, it was an absolute delight to have the opportunity to visit the south of Scotland. My personal connections with the area are extremely limited. My grandfather was married in Eyemouth on the 2nd of May 1890. But he came from West Lothian and his wife came from Northumberland. I have no idea how that happened. My first visit was on the 20th of January 1952, age 5, when my father was preaching at the church in Leatham. In the late 1960s, Maureen Watt may be interested to know, I had the first yoghurt in my entire life while standing on the harbour at Kipford while participating in the Scottish OK dinghy sailing championships. I didn't do too well in the championships, but I did enjoy the yoghurt. But I think there are a number of things that have come up in the debate. Alec Neil properly identified that the border area that's covered by the new agency is not simply one cohesive, homogeneous area. We found as a committee, when we visited Gala Shields, we got a very different response to what was going on from that which we got from Dumfries. Now, I'll immediately say that Gala was substantially easier to get to. We got on the train, we went down to Gala Shields, we walked and got a taxi to the venue, and we were able to return on the train in the midweek evening. Whereas Dumfries, I think if the committee had not previously realised the important need for infrastructure investment, the journey to Dumfries for me from the north of Scotland perfectly illustrated that need. I couldn't actually persuade myself that I could get back from Dumfries to Linlithgow, where I have my house when I'm here, in the evening. So I had to drive from the north of Scotland all the way down to Dumfries and then drive back to Edinburgh. And that was a minor inconvenience on a single occasion for me, but for those who live and work there, it perfectly illustrates the need for investment. So travel, important point where I think there's a consensus of the need to do something about that. And the new agency can take a lead in promoting that, working, of course, with the Regional Transport Partnership. Now, we've talked quite a lot about Highlands and Islands enterprise. I think it's myself and Kenny Gibson are the only constituency members here whose constituencies cross the boundary into Highlands and Islands, as well as being in Scottish enterprise area. In my case, 15% or thereabouts of my electors are in the Highlands and Islands enterprise area. And it is quite marked when you're exposed to the two as a constituency member, how different the priorities and modes of operations are. And I think we're right to look at the way that Highlands and Islands enterprise operates as the model for the south of Scotland. It's quite clear that, in particular, the emphasis on social responsibility and social enterprises is very important. Highlands and Islands enterprise make, in their documentation, they talk about supporting social enterprise and community-led development, and through their community account management programme. Now, I don't say that programme should be lifted unchanged to the borders, but it certainly looks like something that's worth having a look at, because it seems that one is likely to be dealing with similar problems to those which were present at the times of the Highlands and Islands Development Board, then HIE. But of course, the Highlands area now has Inverness that has fundamentally been transformed in the 50 or so years since my wife left there, because that's her home territory, and is now a very significant regional conurbation with strong economy, leaving a lot of the Highlands still in a place of needing support. Dumfries has no equivalent to Inverness, but we might hope that the intervention of the new body might get us there. Now, the way that Highlands and Islands enterprise works is fundamentally different. It has a different account management structure that reaches much closer to community bodies and to small enterprises in a way that Scottish enterprise is not focused on that. And the fact that incomes are lower in the border areas is a key indicator of the need to do what is proposed here. It's important too that we look at helping communities make their own decisions. And again, that is something that Highlands and Islands Enterprise, they say, allowing community account management to help communities identify and realise their aspirations. In other words, not centralised decision-making in the Highlands, telling people what to do, and we don't want that model in the border counties either. Just a few words about the board. I think it's very important that when we look at the constitution of the board and the way it works, that we have strong lines of accountability from the board back to its communities and strong channels for inputs from communities to allow the board to be demonstrably responsive to them. That's quite different from the idea of a board that is representative. I actually want people with the greatest skills. I do want people who understand and preferably live in the area that is concerned, but I want people who are not there simply as a representative, but as there for the skills and can sustain accountability and responsiveness. Presiding Officer, I'm happy to support this at decision time. I hope others do so as well.
Thank you very much. I call Rhoda Grant, followed by John Mason.